Hello, folks. Welcome to another round of our modern 1K that we had. We have Tim Fay playing Kahira Blue Eye Control versus Zach Miller, who was playing Amulet Titan. Was round 6 of our tournament. This is the win and in round. Tim is 3-1-1. Zach is 4-1-0. So let's see how it goes. We have a pretty solid turn 1 from Zach with the Arboreal Grazer into the Urza Saga, and then playing a turn 3 land. And then maybe a Dryad of the Elysian Grove to follow up? No? Okay. Tim has a Celestial Colonnade. Does he have the Spreading Seas to strip mine the... I think he does. He does. Spreading Seas interaction versus Urza Saga is so good. We're going to make a Constructor response. That'll die. Tim will draw. Now, I will say, out of all the control players that I have seen on stream, and just seen in the store in general, Tim played probably the cleanest games of control that I saw in a long time. It was pretty solid. Alright, we got a Valka coming in. And we're going to attack in for 1 point of damage. Alright. This is going to be a long round. I mean, anytime you see Blue Eye Control, it's not going to be short. Very rarely is it a short time. So, let's strap on in and see what we can do. I have both players' deck list right in front of me. So, we can take a look-see-do at what each player has got going on. Now, we've had Zach in a prior video already, so we're going to start with Tim's deck. He's got 4 creatures and 4 creatures only, and that is Solitude, which makes sense, right? He's Kahira. Alright, and then artifacts, we have 2 copies of Trials of the Void in the main board, and then a slew of Planeswalkers, Time Raveler, Hero Dominaria, Mind Sculptor. You know, your common spread of 4-time, 2 Hero, 1 Mind Sculpt. And then spell lineup is, removal spells, draw spells, and counter spells. Pretty stock list from what I'm seeing, nothing too out of the ordinary. There's a Cryptic Command in the deck. I don't know. I don't remember if... I'm trying to remember if that's like stock or if that's just something that Tim wanted to play with. Alright, Simic Grove Chamber's going to come in. Going to pick up the Forest. Tim's going to give Valakut a little read. Make sure, see how the interaction works. Which, if you don't know, you need 5 other when a mountain enters the field, if you have 5 other mountains, Valakut will deal 3 damage to any target. Which interacts really well with Dryad of the Elysian Grove that makes every land a mountain, including Valakut itself. So as long as you get the 6 lands and you have a Dryad on the board and a Valakut on the board, you can start shooting your opponent. Alright, Tim's just going to exile Prismatic Ending to a Solitude and get rid of the Dryad. Just get all that out of the way immediately. Land package looks pretty solid and pretty stock from what I can see. He's playing 1 Triumph to make sure he can hit 4 colors. Plays the Hall of the Storm Giants as an alternate win condition. There's a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Oof, got something stuck in my throat there. I apologize. Alright, we're going to Jace the Mind Sculptor, and he is going to brainstorm off that effect. I do like the way that he indicates his Planeswalker abilities by tapping them, and then he untaps them at the end of the turn, that way to not confuse what's going on. See? Slide them up right there. I've seen people turn them upside down. I like that slight little tilt. Doesn't fully tap them, just makes them a little diagonal, and then fixes it at the end of the turn. Now, this matchup is interesting. I believe both players, people who play both decks, will say they are the favored one. I know Blue Eye Control players who think the Titan matchup is one of the easier ones. I know Titan players who think that the matchup really isn't that bad. So it's interesting. I'm a Titan player. I would say that Blue Eye Control is one of the more difficult matchups in the format due to the slew of counterspells and now the inclusion of Solitude. But Titan is a deck that can just win games in 2 and 3, depending on how many copies of Cavern of Souls you play in your deck. All right. Got a Brainstorm. We see the one of Cryptic Command in his hand. Puts it so that it looks like Hero Dominaria is on top of the deck. 2 mana, Chalice to the Void on 1. Okay. Now, I don't know how... I mean, it hits Amulet of Vigor, right? Like, that's the idea behind putting it on 1. If he has another copy of Spreading Seas, then it's definitely fine. I was like, because Zach in theory could just draw Amulet of Vigor, or Urza Saga, and then get an Amulet into play. But if Tim is able to remove the card, then it doesn't really matter. Also, just Chalice on 1 is just objectively correct. All right, here's the prime time. Get encountered. Zach just immediately putting it in the graveyard. All right, got another Brainstorm coming. Now, he has a counterspell, so if he hit a land, he could always just go land Hero Dominaria, uptick, and then... It doesn't look like he hit a land. Alright, 3 mana Dryad of the Elysian Grove. I imagine that'll see a counterspell.
So it's 5 lands plus this, and if this were in play...
Because the Dryad does resolve, that means Valakut is then live for any subsequent land drops. Not that he doesn't probably have ways to deal with it. Yep, we're going to counter draw. Vesuva has a copy of, I'm guessing, Valakut. I think if I remember right, it was Valakut. With a Brainstorm, with a Counterspell, a Scalding Tarn? Because now this will allow him to, play the Teferi and then leave mana open for a counterspell because the Teferi's lovely uptick. Big fan of Hero Dominaria. One of my favorite Magic cards ever printed. Alright, Big Tef coming out. And we have established Planeswalker control. We have a lot going on here. Alright, got an uptick. Looks like he's going to have to discard the hand size now, but that's fine. He has triple Archmage's Charm in hand. Does he play a full set of Archmage? He does. Makes sense. The card is very good. I think I'm like 1 card off of building this deck. 2 cards. I don't have 2 Mystic Gates. It's cool that the filter lands are seeing more play. I'm actually a really big fan of those. Alright. 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Titan number 2. Oh, attempting to cast a turn Tempest Symbiosis, which immediately eats a counterspell. Alright, let's go to Fate Seal Zach. Not sure what it is, but it definitely wasn't a land. Alright, we have full tapped them this time around. Alright, fetches. Grab this Triumph. There we go. To give it a flash of his hand, a little thumbs up, showing us that he has so much in his hand right now. His hand is literally stacked. It's so good. There's a Titan. There's a counterspell. That is 3 of the 4 counterspells, I believe, so far. Alright, going to 7. Draws another Chalice. This time Chalice on 0, yep. Fate Steel Zach again. Using all the dice we got. Uptick and N. I mean, might as well pass. Goes for a Dryad. I imagine Dryad is not resolving. Nope. Archmage's Charm. We are getting to the point where Tim could just ult Hero Dominaria, exile Zach's entire board, and then probably just loop Colonnade for turns on end. Land go from Zach. Alright, here you see the Teferi ult. Grabbing an emblem for the hero. Gonna brainstorm. And this will now create... So if you don't know what Teferi Hero Dominaria's emblem does, or ultimate does, you get an emblem. The emblem says when you draw a card, you can choose target permanent opponent controls and exile it. Or you may choose a target. That way you can fail to find if you have to. But, yeah. Whenever you draw. So that brainstorm just said, draw 3 cards, put 2 back, exile 3 of your opponent's permanents. Little Teferi just drew a card as well. So Zach just went from having 7 lands in play to having his Archmage's Charm to exile 2 more. Yeah, Zach has 2 permanents. Zach has an Arboreal Grazer and a fetch land. While Tim also just has, you know, Tim has all the stuff he needs right now, which is perfectly fine. Yep. And then saying that he's going to demonstrate a loop, or a quote-unquote loop, with Celestial Colonnade to attack 5 times. I think it's a 4/4. And an amount of times to kill his opponent. So let's take a look at the sideboards real quick and see if we can figure out what's coming in. So on Zach's end, let's see, we've got him on the back pedal. He's got 2 Force of Vigor to sideboard, 1 Foundation Breaker, 1 Endurance, 1 Veil of Summer, 1 Kozilek Butcher of Truth, 1 Shadow Spear, 1 Pithing Needle, 2 Relic of Progenitus, 2 Engineered Explosives, 2 Dismembers, and 1 Blaststone. I think... It's where the Blaststone's in the side. I think if I was in his position... Veil, Kozilek, Needle are like my first 3 things I'm putting in the main board. I'm bored again. And then there's an argument then for Engineered Explosives, Force of Vigor, and Foundation Breaker. Force and Foundation just to deal with the Chalice of the Voids that you saw. And then if like Spreading Seas is on any of the valuable lands that aren't Ursa Saga, you could Force a Vigor, pop that, and then get your land back. I think that's where I would be on that. I don't know what else I would put in. I do find it weird that Kozilek is perfectly fine. I know some people said Emrakul Eon's Torn, specifically for the control matchup, because Amulet's a deck that can play it. So... Especially because he plays Turn Timber Symbiosis, and that does allow whatchamacallit, you can turn Dipper a Emrakul into play. Alright, so Tim has Dovin's Veto, Supreme Verdict, Kozilek Butcher of Truth, Celestial Purge, Shark Typhoon, Rest in Peace, Mystical Dispute, Aether Gust, Engineer Explosives, and Sunset Revelry. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Dispute come in, the Vetoes, and probably the third Verdict, or the fourth Verdict. It's one of those things that, like, if Zach manages to build a board through constructs and other things, he's going to want to get rid of it. Oh, and Aether Gust. Aether Gust is a house of a card against Titan. Just put it back on top of your deck. No cast, no ETB trigger, no nothing. Really good. Alright, players are deciding whether or not they want a mulligan. Looks like Tim is keeping his hand. Looks like Zach is definitely not keeping his hand. I feel like this is the first time in a couple weeks that we've had Blue White Control on streamer for a YouTube match. Tim, the hero, syncing up the mats for me. Let's go. Unfortunately, these playmats don't have like the best grip strength, and thus they're on a tablecloth, so they're just kind of sliding about. And there are new playmats in the works that will eventually be here. Get a fancy 2-player mat, potentially from Trifinity Customs. And if you guys don't know about them, they're a really good mat company based out of New York. Some good people, and they make some really killer designs. All right, I'm gonna fetch. Gets a breeding pool. It's always weird when Amulet's the deck that fetches and shocks. Like, I've done it. Sometimes it just feels really weird. Now, interestingly, there's no Force of Negation at all in the 75, unless I am missing it. Chalice, Memory Deluge, Prismatic Ending, Counterspell, Archmage's Charm. Hey, there's not a single copy of Force of Negation in this control deck. Which is probably correct, I guess. Yeah. 1 copy of Shark Typhoon. Nice. See Arboreal Grazer into a Urza Saga. Looks a lot like the beginning of Game 1. Thinking if he wants to put a second Saga out. Luckily, Spreading Seas is not like Alpine Moon and Blood Moon. It does not hit both copies. It'll hit just one. Alright, Glacial Fortress pass. Make it a construct. Imagine he'll make a construct again. Yep, there's another construct getting made. And then we'll go get a copy, most likely of Amulet of Vigor. I could see the Pithing Needle coming out here, just a blind call. The Planeswalkers, one of the Planeswalkers. Could call Time Raveler, that way Time Raveler just doesn't eat any of your tokens. Alright, it's gonna attack and get some damage. Hits for 3. Gonna put Tim to 17. Alright. We're having a little bit of a playback issue. I don't know if it was from when we streamed or if it's just rendering issues with the computer right now. So if it looks fine for you, it just means I'm having issues on my end, which is fine. It's videos, they take, it's a long video, it has to render. It is what it is. Zach gets a second amulet on the board. Tim is playing some lands. Looks like we might be okay now. Cool. Alright. Gonna fetch at the Flooded Strand. Imagine he gets a Hollowed Fountain here, that way he can deal with both amulets. Okay, just gets a regular old plains here. Does the same thing, lets him allows him to save some life, and can cast Prismatic Ending, so that's all that really matters. Ending 1. Ending 2. And just like that, the amulets are gone. Well, for now. Alright. Urzasaga's gonna go probably get another one. Oh, cool, he did side in the Butcher Truth. There is the cozy down below. Now, if there was ever a turn to somehow land a Titan, this would be the turn. Leave a mana floating, a breeding pool in play. I don't think it's possible. Tireless Tracker would be nice, though. Alright, gonna attack him for 6 damage. Gonna put 10 to 10. Floats a colorless, does the balance land shenanigans, makes 2 more. Floats a green or a blue, plays a Tireless Tracker. Now, he could have just played a regular land, used a colorless, and then the breeding pool to play the tracker. That way he goes positive on lands. Or not positive, but, you know, he doesn't just go to 1. See, he has 9 damage on the board. He can... Wow. Quote-unquote 9 damage. If Zach puts the bounce land into play to make a clue, then sack the clue with that mana floating, the tracker becomes a 4/3. Then that's lethal. This is assuming Tim doesn't have interaction. Alright, Castle Vantress. Alright, passes. Untap, upkeep, draw. What do we got? Okay. Plays the forest, gets a clue. Surprised we didn't do the bounce land play. Alright, Tim is going to Archmage's Charm here, which is going to get Veil of Summered. We're going to give Veil of Summer a quick read. If you don't know what Veil says, if your opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn, it's an instant speed spell. Your opponent has cast a blue or black card, draw a card, and then for the rest of the turn, you and permanents you control have hexproof from blue and black. So that means the Archmage's Charm just fizzles. Cool. Going to attack in for 9 damage, and Tim's just going to scoop it up. Bringing it 1-1. I can't imagine the sideboards will change very much at all, so I'm just going to cut real quick to when Game 3 begins. Give me 1 second. And we're back with Game 3, or at least we're in the mulligan portion of Game 3. Looks like both players are probably keeping their hands. We're deliberating over here. Can't tell if Zach is debating it. He has to be debating if he wants to mulligan. Alright, opts to keep it. Flood his Strand Pass. Going to fetch for time's sake. Grabs the Roggen Triumph. Alright, tap T West go. Island Pass. There's a Saga. On one. Looks like he has Spreading Seas in hand too. Ooh, yes he does. Alright, Spreading Seas going to hit the Saga. Draw a card. That's such a good interaction, man. Someone in the stream chat said it best. Like, 2-mana Wasteland, draw a card. Pretty good for Modern. Land go. Sacrifiction out the breeding pool. Alright, draw for turn. I can't tell it's in Zach's hand, so I'm not sure. Just a Forest Scout. Forest Pass. 3-mana Archmage's Charm. We draw 2. I love the versatility of that card, man. Alright, so we got Colonnade and Hall of the Storm Giants. Or Hall of Storm Giants. It still makes me upset. I'm still annoyed that that card doesn't have the word "the" in the name. The rest of them do it. That one should. There's a Slayer Stronghold. Yeah. If he wants to be cheeky, he could play the Arboreal Grazer here, put the Boros Garrison into play, and pick up like the Teleria West, or pick up the Forest realistically. Oh, not putting a land into play? Oh, he's just floating that off of it. Okay. Yeah, so you can put the Boros Garrison into play here, pick up the Teleria West, and then transmute it. But what he can do... No. You gotta do the Q play, Zach. Come on. He could effectively just set up the Slayer Stronghold, the Grazer every turn, to start getting in for 2 damage every time. Alright, transmuting the Teleria West here. I was gonna say, I wouldn't be surprised if you grab the Cavern of Souls here. Listen, there's probably better plays than doing the Slayer Stronghold Boros Garrison thing. Because I don't know what's in his hand. But, it'd be cute. Archmage draw 2. Alright, Storm Giant's coming in tapped here. Does he have Big Teferi? Is that giving that card a read? What it does is for, I believe, 6 mana? 6 mana, and then leaving that active, it whatchamacalls it? It creates a 7/7 giant with Ward 3 on it. Which is pretty cool. It's a nice way to help end the game. Alright. Cavern's gonna come in. Unfortunately, we don't know what it named. I don't remember. But I imagine it'll be whatever he plays here. Probably Giant. Yeah. Uncounterable Giant. There's an Ether Gust. And it's gonna spin it right to the top of the deck. Yo, all I'm saying is, if Boros Garrison was on the board, it'd still be able to cast that Titan. Alright, we got 6 mana. We have a Chalice on 0. Alright, we're going to Spreading Seas to Cavern. Puts a Glacial Fortress into play. I recently bought a place at a Glacial Fortress, and I don't know where I put them. That information's not relevant at all, but I just completely forgot. Go me. Alright, Trey's going to down tick, go to 1, draw a card. And probably just say go, right? Tim has the mana that if he wanted to be cheeky, he could just... I mean, again, it's a cheeky thing. But he could Chalice on 3. He has 3 cross spells too, but that means Dryad can't come out. I don't know if it's correct, but it's cheeky. You should have floated a mana off of the Cavern. I don't know if he has anything to do with it besides try and cast the Titan in his hand, but... Alright, Field of Ruin's gonna come down. Fairy's gonna uptick. Looks like we're getting a field activation. Probably blowing up the growth chamber, I would assume. Okay. Now, I think there's a better argument to hit the Boros Garrison here. Because eventually, he's gonna be able to, not tap the Boros Garrison. And that is the only red-white source in the deck. Now there's combinations of those, or there's lands that produce those colors. You ever just like mentally stumble and then get like annoyed at yourself for it? Yeah, there's lands that like Celestial Sanctuary produces green-white, Valakut produces red. Like you can activate Slayer Stronghold, but Boros Garrison is the easiest way to do so. All right, we're gonna name Giant here. Make 6 mana. With it being uncounterable, and we're gonna play that Primeval Titan. And it looks like it's gonna resolve. It looks like Zach is gonna be gaining 6 life this turn, but Vesuva as a copy of Cavern here would be pretty solid. Grabbing a Valakut, okay. Okay. Valakut Vesuva. Vesuva entering as a copy of Gavin of Souls. I'm not sure what it named, but cool. Just Supreme Verdict. No reason to give him 6 life. Alright, Colonnade's gonna come in tapped. Uptick onto Fairy. Time Raveler, man. It's such a good card. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana in play. He could put the Garen Brig. Ooh, I think it's on Eldrazi. I think that's a whatchamacallit in his hand. 4 mana, 5 mana. Okay, interesting. Oh, he might have just counted it and realized that he needed more. Alright, so there's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, just going for the Titan. Okay. It actually makes sense, honestly. Because what he could do here is get... Yup. This is a double saga play. Because next turn, he should be able to cast Kozilek and then haste it in the same turn. Because there he hastes the Titan, which forces the Solitude to come out. Cycle gain 6 life, go to 25. Because I imagine the Solitude was in response to the Slayer's Stronghold, not him moving to combat. Tim's going to get 18. He's going to attack, and we're going to have 22 to 22. Chalice on 1. And 3 mana by Kahira. Gives him a white card to pitch for the Solitude. Right. Eldrazi 2, 3. Right. Plays a Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Maybe it wasn't on Eldrazi. Guess it was on Nymph. Puts the Garenberg into play. Because he has he has a bounce land, so he can just replay a Cavern. Alright, instant speed, get rid of the Dryad. Makes a construct. Has the ability to make another construct this turn if he wants to. Yep, makes another one. Oh boy. Alright. Here comes another Solitude, getting rid of one of the constructs. So, Zach is going to gain 2 life here. It does mean he got rid of the Solitude in his hand. Which means, as long as Tim doesn't draw another one, that construct, or not construct, that Kozilek is safe. I believe we have the mana to cast it. And haste it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah.
He's gonna bounce the remaining one. Draw.
Alright, Teferi's just gonna eradicate the construct from existence. And 2 mana Spreading Seas on there. Big Teferi, counterspell, land. Alright, 5 mana, play Teferi. Updeck to 5, draw a card. What do we got? Draws a plains, that's not good. That's not what we're looking for. Alright, should we go to combat? No? Okay. Is there a reason to make the construct here? I don't think so, right?
So I get a construct. This die. Get
Grabs an amulet. You could haste the construct. But yeah, I have to imagine the Vesuba Vesuba Cavern isn't on Eldrazi. Alright, Celestial Sanctuary picking up the Vasuba.
Cards in hand too.
Not a terribly large amount of things he can do with the mana that he has right now. Tim also just can't really do anything. Alright, it's going to attack in. Blocks that. Tim's going to go to 24. But Zach was able to get a Solitude off the board. Which isn't bad. 6 draw. I think that Amulet of Vigor is going to see its demise. Ooh, are we... Okay, alright, we're animating the Hall. Attacking for 7. Put Zach to 19. Tap the Hall, untap the island. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, if he plays the Cavern here, or the Vasupa here on Eldrazi. Tim should have Prismatic Ending the Amulet in response to the Vasuba entering the battlefield. Because then he doesn't get the untap trigger. He still might. Alright, we're going to cast Kozilek, draw 4 cards. See a Sunhome. Turn Timber Symbiosis. The fact that card draws 4 is so good. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Aeon's Torn in the sideboard of Amulet, but Kozilek also just saying draw 4 cards is very good. It's very gosh darn good. Alright, so he hastes it, attacks in. We have an Annihilator trigger. It also has Vigilance. Tim basically has to find Solitude now. I think it's the only thing that deals with Kozilek.
Attacking the big one.
So I also like the idea of playing Emrakul the Promised End in that deck too. I don't know why Kozilek is still upside down. Okay, cool. But yeah, I like the idea of playing for the Promised End too. Against control. Alright, so Tim is going to animate the the Storm Giant here. I don't think he knows that Kozilek had Vigilance. Zach very politely just letting being like, "Hey, this card had Vigilance, right?" I think he lets him take it back too.
Yeah, it might not have been clear.
It was not clear.
It might not be clear.
Go ahead and do.
Which is absurdly polite of him. Something he did not need to do.
No, go ahead. Proceed.
I think Tim just saying he'll do it anyways. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on right now. Alright, we're going to ending the Amulet. Having to pay 2 mana for it, that way the Chalice doesn't counter it.
You're still in time You had the extension. Yep, you have another 3 minutes yet.
He could put the Sun Home into play here. And then... Oh, he could kill Tim here. I'm pretty sure. So he puts the Sun Home in. Gives +2 to the Kozilek with Slayer, Stronghold, and Boris Garrison. And then uses the Celestial Sanctuary, the Valakut, and any of the other floating lands to give him double strike. All right, you gotta tap the Sun Home to do the double, to give him double strike.
Annihilator's an attack trigger.
Got it. That's crazy.
There you go.
Annihilator trigger on a stack. I'm gonna animate. And then I'll go to resolve 4.
All right, we're gonna pick out what we're doing for the Annihilator trigger here. Second 4 attacks, not vigilant this time. There you go. They rectified that. Tim puts the Colonnade in front of it, and even though it's double strike, because like this, I have trample, so it doesn't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Did you have a question, Observer?
No, he doesn't trample. Not if it doesn't trample.
He isn't trample.
All right, green playing Arboreal Grazer. Puts the bounce line into play. Pick up the Cavern. Should have floated a colorless off the Cavern, that way you could play the Pithing Needle with it. But it's whatever. There's a Tireless Tracker, which is going to eat a counter spell. I think for the first time all match, we've gotten Tim to tap out completely. All right, go with the Pithing Needle. Probably naming one of the Teferi's. Like, it has to be on a Planeswalker. All right, Castle Vantress. What would be cute with the Pithing Needle, though, is to call Hall of the Storm Giants. That way he can't create a manland out of it. I don't believe that would work. I could be wrong. I've never tried to Pithing Needle any of the manlands before. All right, 3 mana. Play Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Blaststone, Valakut triggers. Going to hit him for 3? Is there only really one Valakut on the board? No, there's 2. Okay. I was like, I feel like there's had to be 2. It's going to attack in. Let's go to Annihilator triggers first. And then you should be able to double strike it for lethal here. He's got a Vantress in response to. Yep. Sack the 4. Give it double strike for lethal. Yep. All right. So that'll be Zach Miller taking it 2-1 against Tim Faye's Kahira Blue-White Control. Yeah, and I believe this means Zach would make top 8 out of, or makes top 8 out of the 1K we had, and then we'll have a couple more matches going up from the 1K. Thank you for watching, folks. Have a great rest of your day. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Goodbye.